Hello, hello, everybody. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Hold up. I'm in a co-working space, so let me just make sure that our volume is not, well, actually, hold on. Let me just go mobile here. Second. I hope you all are having a good day. Thank you for your patience. I actually was presenting for my startup, actually, just 10 minutes ago. So, uh, again, thank you for your patience there. And great. Okay. I'm going to admit a couple of the other people here. And hey, everybody. Thank you again for your patience out here. We will start we will start on time next time. There's just a conflicting event that was happening, but we've been waiting a bit too long for our cohort to start, so I didn't want this to delay our cohort uh, anymore. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for your patience there, but yeah, let's get started right now and have our first really cool day. Um, How are y'all doing? How are y'all feeling? First day. I know y'all were supposed to start like 2 weeks ago. Well, excited to learn some web development out here.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Learning new things always exciting to me.
We promised that this would be something that will be pivotal for your career as well. So enough of me being a salesman. Let's actually go through it. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and you can all see my screen okay, right? You can see my presentation.
Yep. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, great. Today is going to be more of an intro of the course. We're going to introduce ourselves and we're going to kind of just talk about how this course will be structured and what y'all should hope to expect from this boot camp. Uh, so, uh, First and foremost, introductions. Hello, everybody. My name is Hessvacio. I've been a software engineer for around 10 years at this point, which is wild. I still remember being bright-eyed, optimistic developers like you guys. I actually came from a coding boot camp very similar to this one here. So basically, we're in good company, like from my vast experience of working on websites to games to uh, immersive experiences for Tribeca and stuff like that. It all kind of started from a boot camp like this. So I'm really excited to be basically having this come full circle and teach y'all this as well. I was about to say, wow, am I wearing the same thing? But um, a little bit about me. I actually did not graduate with a computer science major. I actually graduated with a communications degree. This was something that, like I honestly thought like technology and the thing that I wanted to do since I was six, which was making video games, making interactive experiences, was not for me because of the fact that like the program that I was actually in SUNY Oswego was just kind of like not the right fit for me. Switched my major, and I was like, wow, this is I guess I'm not going to be a software engineer out here. And thankfully, I actually went to the Flatiron School, which was based off of it's a coding boot camp, but it was sponsored by the same program that we're actually learning from now, which is TTP. That means Tech Talent Pipeline. Currently, what we're going to be like, currently, what y'all are a part of is the Tech Talent Pipeline Residency. It's really centered on schools. I went to basically, like, for me, it was a boot camp from a coding boot camp. So basically we'll be kind of learning the same things, but you'll be kind of like, within school and doing this at the same time. So we'll handle that a little accordingly. What happened after my experience with the coding boot camp at Flatiron School? Well, I my first position was going to Microsoft. Now, don't I wasn't out here building Windows or Halo out here, but I was actually working in the Civic Tech team, which is basically the team working on tech for good. We're actually in New York City. We actually got to not really be in the 42nd Street building. We worked out of Civic Hall, which is another space for which people are doing stuff for good in there. And from there, I learned a lot of how to kind of like do tech for good within the scale of Microsoft, which was really, really cool. After that, I went to a company called IAC. There are the peeps that own Match.com, Tinder, your dating future. Don't stay off the dating apps. It's terrible. So, like, basically, they were the ones that, like, kind of like owned and monetized that, along with back when I was working there, they actually own College Humor. They no longer own College Humor. They sell companies for parts. So if you ever make your startup, don't get it sold by IAC. Uh, uh, but basically, I was a front end developer there, worked on a lot of like different projects, from a Netflix alternative all the way to a random GIF generator every time you open up a new tab. These were small compartmentalized like projects, but utilized like these really cool pieces of tech within them. So after IAC, I actually, like within the realm of IAC, I actually was doing the thing that I promised myself I would do. And I'd recommend y'all to do the same thing. But I actually learned programming to become a game developer. So I actually worked on my smaller indie projects, like moonlighting at nights and weekends while I was at IAC. So within that, I actually was able to release a VR game called Don't Look Away VR. Basically, that was a small compartmentalized horror experience for the VR platform. We used Unity 3D for that, and that became a little indie hit back in the day. Y'all probably don't remember it because it was like dang near 10 years ago at this point. But basically, this was just kind of done through grit and determination and the knowledge I learned from like the coding boot camp all the way to like the stuff I was learning and my jobs, and basically kind of like took that 20 something year old energy and turned it into something cool. After that, yeah, I created my new, I basically was like, all right, we got a hit, so I should create a studio. Created Made in Brooklyn Games. We make um, basically New York stories using emergent tech. We are still around. We actually released a new game actually earlier this year called Museum Multiverse VR. It's another VR title. Kind of like it's a multi-dimensional platformer. Repainting and jump into changes the way you play the game. You can go from playing a third-person platformer in VR all the way to a first-person experience. The perspective actually changes as you jump into different paintings. And That got me on the map to actually be one of the founding VR developers for a startup, where I was able to kind of work on basically the core team that built out a platform that actually uh, use virtual reality to help with diversity and inclusion. The idea was to actually put people in the perspective of the people dealing with the microaggressions that happen at work. And the power of VR actually was able to really like capture that. You actually like put on the headset and actually saw your hands become the person, and honestly went through the experience like a choose your own adventure experience. So that actually was, I was like employee number six, and then we scaled up to like fully 30 when I left. And yeah, from that, I just kind of continued making stuff on the web, AR, VR, and that's kind of been the thing I've been doing and who I am in a nutshell. So, gonna quickly go over a little bit of like what the heck these two mediums are, if y'all don't know it, but y'all rest assured kind of have experienced these two these two modalities. So this is a little bit of my work. A lot of these projects were based on the web, all the way to Unity 3D games, all the way to mobile Android games. So um, some notable examples where it was like at the bottom left, that was a installation experience that I made for the Tribeca Film Festival back in the day, where you were actually using your speech to actually control the character by basically saying tongue twisters, um, all the way to the middle over there is Don't Look Away VR, the VR experience I kind of told you about, all the way to the right, the bottom right, which is a scene from Museum Multiverse. Now, I understand I'm showing a lot of games. We're not going to be making games in here. I mean, good, like your web experience, gamify your apps, but I personally took my experience from the web and put it into something I was interested in, and this is kind of like the work that was generated from that. So got to make this studio called Made in Brooklyn Games, where we're telling these New York stories through emerging tech, creating kind of like rich experiences with social commentary. So what do I do? Again, in that space, I'm a web developer, but along with that, I do stuff like augmented reality, which is creating a layer over the real world to actually augment the real world. Augmented reality. One of the little cool claim to fames that we did was this really cool little holiday card where you aim your phone at it and it actually creates this whole little holiday snow globe for somebody. The joke was, I was always like, my mother was a big fan of like holiday cards. I thought, why is a piece of paper like so important? Let's augment it. And a lot of people actually really enjoyed that experience as well. So augmented reality, we're all kind of familiar with this within the realm of Pokemon Go, the face filters that Snapchat and back in the day Instagram used to do. And a lot of that, again, is augmenting the real world with your like your digital code, basically. And here's some of the stuff that we did as well. So, um, created AR stickers based off of my studio and the games that we've made. Created AR clothing, as well as, this is an oldie because you can tell from the old Metro card, but I actually worked with the MTA to actually make a augmented reality subway map where you can kind of just look at your Metro card, bam, and see the whole subway map there. Never got to get put geolocation in there because the city is not going to pay for that. So the next thing I do also is virtual reality. This is creating a virtual siloed experience. So the idea is, instead of it augmenting out in the real world, it's actually kind of captured within like a single experience. So back in the day, this was really awesome because you can kind of like have this amazing world around you, but it was a bit siloed. So there was this kind of push for social VR in the sense that like, you are here in the metaverse and basically someone else from like like Spain you can kind of like work with and stuff like that. And I was primarily big on single player experiences, so that was kind of like what I made. Did make some stuff for the metaverse back when the metaverse was a thing. Meta was actually contracted a lot of like studios like mine to actually make these experiences. And it was a really cool experience to work on projects that would actually be celebrities would be kind of endorsing and stuff like that for the metaverse. So uh, here's a couple of the stuff that I've done. Award-winning game Museum Multiverse. As I mentioned to the bottom right, Don't Look Away VR, and this little guide to the bottom left is actually an example of using um, virtual reality on the web. So this is actually a web VR experience in which you actually either use your phone or put on a VR headset and just go to a simple website over downloading something and experience this in a 360 sphere. So one of the things that I'll always kind of be pointing to in the class is like the web is this amazing world, especially with the new modern tech idea, like the new modern libraries that are happening, that are coming out, like A-Frame, 3JS, which is what A-Frame's built on, and a bunch of others. Babel, is it Babel? I forget the name of that one, but 3JS is the jam. But the idea is like you can kind of make these 3D kind of interactive creative experiences just on your browser as well. So you can kind of go from making a website all the way to making a whole interactive experience that feels like a game that should be on a console that runs on your browser because we have the technology now. So all right, enough of me yakking out here. That's me. So now I'm actually gonna open it up to the TAs to kind of just introduce themselves, talk about like their experience, and just kind of like so y'all can kind of get a load of like who is who in your cohort. So I'm gonna start it off. Like if actually my lead TA wants to start, and everyone else can kind of go afterwards.
Hi everyone, I'm Shahed. I'm happy to be your lead TA here. Similar to Hessvacio, was part of the TTP Web Development Fellowship back in 2018. I had come in from a background in education. I also went to college for something completely different from computer science, philosophy and religious studies. But technology was always something that I was interested in, so I decided to, go for a boot camp, got in. Um, After that, I taught at a few different boot camps, including one at Queensborough Community College, as well as the TTP residency during 2020 for, I believe, Brooklyn College and a few other CUNYs that were combined because of lockdown. That was a huge challenge. Zoom didn't quite have all the features that it has now that make remote learning way easier. So I'm happy to be here again with much better tools. After that, I briefly worked at a food delivery app called Chowbus that was based out of Chicago. I was there for a few months, and then I actually joined a company it was called Meredith Corp at the time, and then IAC, who Hessvacio mentioned, bought them and merged them with another property called Dotdash. So they were called Dotdash Meredith. I was there for a few years. And then after that, I decided to take, after I left that company, I decided to take a little break, just kind of, relax for a little bit, because I had been kind of just, working in software engineering like nonstop for a while. For a little while, I pivoted to education. So I've been teaching um, um, primarily like kindergarten through eighth grade students of various programs, primarily focused in like coding and a few other fun things here and there. But last year, I actually was lead TA for a similar program at BMCC last summer, which is how I found out about this program. But I'm happy to be here with you folks at LaGuardia. Yeah.
Yeah, Thanks, Shahed. And also sorry that the great empire took your startup as well. I see be
Oh,
doing that.
it actually wasn't a startup. The company that I joined had it had just turned I think 120 when they were bought by IAC, so not a startup.
Wow.
But yeah,
Wow. And guarantee you they sold them for parts. No.
eh,
No, but yeah, thank you, Shahid. Who wants to go next? Introduce yourself as the TAs. Who wants to go next in the TA space? And yeah, introduce yourself.
Sure, I'll go next. So, my name's Lewis. I was a part of the last cohort. And I also graduated from LaGuardia. So, you'll have somebody that's familiar with how this already went to help you guys out if you need anything. Currently go to John Jay, graduating in May. Got accepted to NYU full ride. So, my degree is in AI and game development. So, I'm a little bit doing of both. Um, I ended the cohort with a internship with this AI company, this startup, and they hired me full time. So I've been working with them this whole time. So I'm currently working in AI and backend. So I do a lot of backend and AI integrations and building AI like RAG systems, a bunch of different things on the AI side. Other things about me, I actually was formerly a finance major. I went to Chicago Institute of Technology out in Chicago, got a full ride to go play Overwatch. So played a lot of games there. They gave me a full ride. Finished that off in 2018, 2019. Right after that, COVID hit, so couldn't get a job. And then my way to getting into tech was actually I got a job at Uber as a help desk. My paperwork was nothing about tech related, but the lady really liked my resume and my enthusiasm, so she hired me. COVID shut down Uber's like in person because I dealt with a lot of the drivers and their technical issues. And they moved me over to dealing with Python and databases. So I learned a lot of Python and databases, which really got me back into coding. Then I went to LaGuardia to start it, and I'm finishing up my bachelor's in computer science and infosec with a minor in mathematics.
Thanks, Luis, and good to have you on board here. Fun fact: he's Luis is actually one of the students I taught last year, and fun fact about that, like I know a lot of y'all are kind of like in this realm of like I don't like I'm a little unsure of like how I'm going to go from zero to hero. Luis was out here saying the same thing during our Saturday classes, like, "Yo, am I really gonna get a job from this?" Hearing his experience after the cohort, it just kind of goes to show if you have the energy and the drive, like, bam, this is the reality that happens there. So, yeah. Um, Thanks for introducing yourself, Luis. Who's next?
I'll
Okay.
introduce myself. Hey, I'm Kiki. I know my profile says Catherine, but I do go by Kiki. And so, uh, I did a boot camp that was also Tech Talent Pipeline. I did it last year. And it was through Codesmith. And actually, while I was in the boot camp, I applied to grad school. Um, I applied to Georgia Tech for a program in music technology. And so this year, I deferred, and this year I've been at Queens College taking some math classes and some additional computer science classes just to or on the advice of some of the Georgia Tech students that I spoke with. So, um, you know, went through a really similar program to this. And I think my story is kind of an example of how you can go a different direction. And I'll probably end up working in research. And part of the reason that I took this route is because I got into coding through making art and music. And I've also done some augmented reality stuff. And it was visual coding in those programs that got me interested in coding. So that's me, and I'm happy to be here and excited to be a part of you guys' support system.
Nice. Thanks, Kiki. Great to have you here as well. And Yeah, Codesmith was one of the boot camps that felt a little bit more like the Flatiron School, where it's just kind of like an actual boot camp. I know the I don't know if like you got to meet the basically the founder, which is that British dude. He's
Will.
just full of opinions. Yeah, Will. Yeah, back in the day, he would actually be out here teaching in the city and stuff like that. So, very happy for him. He's still teaching on front end masters as well as here. So, yeah, like, yeah, glad to have you here in like in the realm of like an act, like the real boot camp. And like what we're doing is going to be a mixture of like college and the boot camp mixed together. So yeah, everybody who is learning here, you're going to kind of get a mixture of both. So, who is next, or those all the TAs on call right now?
I'll go next. Can you
Oh,
hear
oh,
me?
hey, Kazi, my bad.
No, it's
I
all
know
right
you're
here,
here.
Hessvacio. I just want to make sure you could hear me.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah, we can
everyone.
hear you, man.
My name is Kazzy. Little bit about my background. I started working at a very early age. I went from the restaurant business to the car business. Found myself doing finance for a very long time. Once COVID hit, the small company I worked for went out of business, and I took that as a sign up from the universe to actually pursue my passion, which has always been technology. I found LaGuardia, which was truly a gift for me. It was a great foundation for me to start up my career in tech. Since then, I've been able to learn how to code. I'm also part of the previous TTPR cohort. I had the privilege of being accepted to an internship with the Air Force, which led me to an extension with research. After graduating from LaGuardia, I am now pursuing my Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science in Queens College. I'm also doing an apprenticeship with Columbia University. And I just want to say that I was not in your shoes too long ago. I'm here for any type of support you need. Feel free to reach out to me through Slack. And I'm very happy to be a part of the team.
Nice. Happy to have you, Kazi. And yeah, like Kazi's actually one of my students from the same cohort as well. So it's really like again, he knows exactly well, like a lot of the peeps here, including me, like we know exactly how it feels to be in your shoes, and just make sure to lean on us on a lot of the questions you have, as well as a lot of like the non-tech questions you have on the front here. So yeah, I think that's everybody. If I'm going to,
Everyone, how are
Yes.
you?
oh, hey,
Has
Geraldina. Hey.
wouldn't mind.
Few moments later.
I'm gonna and please chime in if like you haven't introduced yourself. Going once, going twice. All right. So really glad to meet everybody here. And let's kind of just go into like what we're gonna be learning. So this program is gonna actually be broken down into different phases. So we're currently in phase one. Again, don't mind the dates. The dates are wrong. This was from like our last cohort. So the dates are kind of based off of yeah, like basically like one, like when like the last cohort, two, kind of like how we had a little bit of a false start. So like of course like the dates are subject to change. So with that, understanding that, we're going to go through a couple of pieces in the foundations. We're going to kind of go through a our pilot assessment, which probably are going to skip introductions, orientations, kind of like what to expect from the cohort. Next class, we're actually going to be going over the collaborative workflow with Git, and hopefully a small introduction of JavaScript. Afterwards, we will be going into a group project with a student page, understanding what like DOM manipulation is, and basically from that, we'll go into the introduction of frameworks, JavaScript frameworks. We'll kind of understand. We'll kind of go through why one would use a framework when you have like the programming language already and stuff like that. And we'll kind of introduce one of the frameworks that's really popular, which is React.js. This is an open source library that has been built by Meta, and most of like the newer web um, frameworks are kind of either using companies are using that, or the newer frameworks are actually derived from this paradigm of like using React like concepts. So once you learn React, you'll kind of it'll be easier for you to learn things like Vue.js, Next.js, and whatever new framework comes out in the next 3 months, because every 2 years, like there's always a web developer that swears they can make a better framework than what's kind of already came out. Funny joke is like one of the first JavaScript frameworks was jQuery. Everybody was like, yo, jQuery is trash, da 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 da. And lo and behold, like nearly 80% of the internet is still kind of controlled by jQuery. But modern companies are using newer frameworks, of course, because they need the speed, they need the flexibility, all of the things that you'll learn there. Then we'll go into what like you'll be using with external APIs, like API requests, and more of React.js. From that, we'll go into phase two. I'm actually first I want to kind of like mention that wait 1 second. I like there's a story behind this piece here, but basically while we're learning, I want y'all to kind of also kind of take an eye open throughout like your experience like in the city, like just kind of thinking through things that you can kind of like problems you want to solve in the city, all the way to things you want to kind of just like work with just because you want to work with it. For me, I am really big into kind of like making games and stuff like that. So this was actually part of my game in Museum Multiverse, and it was based off of my walk to work all the time living in the Bronx. So this little beautiful sunset is actually a shot of the Yankee Stadium, walking to the Metro North back when I worked at IAC. And from that walk, I kind of found a way to kind of turn it into something that felt completely different. So that's me as a game developer. But what I'm trying to challenge y'all to think through is thinking about this in the realm of like problems to solve in the city, problems that you want to solve locally in your like local neighborhood, all the way to problems you might want to solve with like, like in your family and stuff like that. Like maybe a parent can use a particular app that you can build out really quickly, and that can kind of be a way you learn how to build out like this thing based off of like a problem that you wanted to solve. So kind of think through that while you're kind of like in the journey of learning. So phase two, we're going to go more into React, state management, and just kind of like back-end development. This is where we'll go into like the concepts of like React Router. This is kind of how you would kind of like create a multi-page app based off of a single page application such as React. React kind of like only really handles single page really well. React is going to show you how to React routers will kind of show you how to like turn that into like a multi-page kind of like Amazon like e-commerce site and stuff like that. Then of course we're going to do more class coding. We're going to kind of understand how to use React contexts within things like Redux, introduction to Node.js, which is going to kind of lead us into the back-end development. And from there, we'll actually learn more things that we would be needing for back-end development, like Express.js, Postgres, SQLize, and other back-end development tools. We'll also learn a little bit about CRUD, which is um, create, read, update, and destroy. These are like the commands that you normally would use for a full stack development app. Like so basically like um, with a backend. So think of it as like your post on Twitter. You can create a post, you can read a post, you can update it, you can delete it when you realize your joke was too spicy or something like that. We're going to learn how to make something like this, and from that, we'll actually kind of like go through the review and polish from that. That all of these are going to be like based off of labs and kind of like projects that we'll be making in the boot camp. We'll also learn about registering users, open authorization. A lot of times these apps require like you signing up, you having an account, that account holding information. How do we do that? And then also, how do we kind of secure that? What are some of the securities and restrictions we need to do for that? And then deployment. How do you deploy it so people can actually see it on the web? We're not going to be using Netlify or Heroku. We'll probably be using something closer to Vercel. But a funny bit is like I kept this in because of the fact that it shows you how like the world of the web actually changes pretty actively. So I used Heroku when I first started my journey in web development. Now no one uses Heroku, so we'll actually be using like the thing that everyone is using, which is Vercel. And then in 3 years, y'all are gonna probably use something completely different, and that's just how the way the world works in tech. This is part of the reason why it's important to be language and framework agnostic and be open to learning new technologies as you kind of go through your journey. So after that, we're actually going to do capstones. This is kind of like your final project, everything you kind of learned. There'll be a couple of pathways of like what type of app that you want, just because we are not doing a 6 month type program. We're doing something closer to, like a couple months, nowhere near that. So in order to kind of scope the capstone, you'll have an option of like a certain type of project, but the idea is like go nuts within that limitation. This kind of what I would say is like in the world of game development, what I normally do is actually do game jams and stuff like that. And what that entails is actually being scoped down to a particular subject matter or a particular thing. And then basically, that limits your thinking, quote unquote, but it also kind of helps you like scope your vision and scope what you want to make. This is kind of like what we're going to be doing there. So we're kind of like going to take the rest of the course to kind of go through that capstone. We're going to be this will be a group project, so it'll be like 3 to 4 people per project, and we'll just be developing that for the rest of the program. And then afterwards, we'll actually go into a bit more of career coaching. Geraldina will kind of like handle the ship on that front, but then we'll actually be demoing our capstone as well. So uh, like be ready to present your project as if you're pitching it to an investor. Okay. So that's the program in a nutshell. If you have any questions, rest assured, like we'll have plenty of time to actually like clarify like once, first and foremost the dates, but also just like understand like some of the subject matters we may have to change around, or actually we'll figure out a way to kind of cover everything within the realm that we have it in. But yeah, like basically this is what we'll be learning in the boot camp. So we have 7 minutes left. So I actually want to give y'all homework. And I know you're like, oh, no, not homework, but trust me, it's going to be relatively easy. So this would kind of set us up for success for our next class, which would be on Thursday. What I want you all to do is to download your coding editor of choice, I would recommend Visual Studio Code. This would be an open source editor from Microsoft. Here is the website for it. I will actually like put it in our chat there. So Visual Studio Code is what is the industry standard currently right now for code editors. But if you have another one that you're interested in working in, feel free to use that one. I would kind of, if you are good enough to actually be working through it, like use that one. I would challenge you to basically use this one because everyone is going to be using it and it's going to just make it easier for debugging, especially with the TAs and all. And also, again, one of the best out there. Like I used Sublime Text when I first started, and it was like basically a little Notepad plus plus. It was not doing anything at all, and this gives you so much power. The next thing I want you all to do is, if you haven't done this already, create a GitHub account. So basically, what GitHub we'll learn about Git and GitHub in our next class, but the idea is basically this is where we will be doing most of our coursework. In fact, our course is actually on here. Thank you, Kazzy, for sharing the course repo there. Let me actually kind of bring that up. So most of like the course will be living on this repo here. Do not look at the assignment. We'll actually kind of assign you the assignments as labs, as separate URLs on GitHub. But if you're ever kind of like, you're like, hey, I missed out on a lesson or something like that, all of the lessons will be in the slides section here. Don't mind that. I hit a commit, not that. Yeah, so the slide section here, and they're broken down into subject matters, but the idea is like, yeah, like you'll be able to look through the slides here, but also you'll be able to kind of understand where we are, also understanding a little bit more of like what we're doing with support links and all of that here on our on course here, with the phases as well. Again, don't mind, we don't have dates here, but yeah. Oh yeah, we do. But like, don't mind the dates. They're definitely not the right dates right now, but this is basically what our subject matter will be. So what I would like us to do is, there is, again, everyone is on this Slack channel here. And I would like us to all just go to the TTPR 2026 here. And within here, there is a group chat here. And this is with the other cohort that actually is that will be your classmates as well. Y'all will all be able to meet on Saturday. But when you're done with creating your GitHub profile, I'd like you to put your GitHub profile here. So basically create your GitHub profile, then post it in this thread. Don't post it kind of like in the chat here. That's actually going to just blow up the chat. But I would like y'all to kind of just like put it in this chat here, and make sure to follow each other as well. So for example, like let's say Tasha here, he made his GitHub profile. That's awesome. And I am going to go and follow that person there. And this will kind of like connect y'all with each other, but also like you'll be able to kind of start to see like what other people, how other people have designed their GitHub profile to look like. So for example, one of our TAs over here, lead instructor of the previous cohort, has this really cool like profile for his GitHub. So we'll kind of go over how to pimp yours out and make it look really cool. As well as just kind of understand what are we doing here? Why are we using GitHub? What is a GitHub? Why is it an octopus? So on and so forth. Why does everybody in tech use this? So sorry, there's two people in the waiting room. Okay, so that being said, do we have any questions on the 2 assignments that we have to do before Thursday? Download your IDE, your code editor, Visual Studio Code, more than likely, and create your GitHub profile. Okay. No questions. I'm going to take that as we are either all very, very tired or we all know what we're doing. I'm going to lean on the latter over the former. So this is our first class. Thank you all for joining. Really excited to be teaching you all the thing that's near and dear to my heart. It's someone mentioned they want a 6-figure job. It's one of the only jobs I jokingly say is you can do it for 6 figures and also still do something that's relatively creative. So really excited to teach you all in this journey. So if you don't have any questions, it's 8:30. Feel free to drop off and we will chat more soon. Thank you, Daddy, for doing that, putting that in the chat there. Any questions?
Hey, Hess, just a quick question. Do you know what room number we're assigned for Saturday?
That's a great question. I will ask Geraldina and Dimitri, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same room that we had before. Pretty
Okay.
sure, but we'll confirm.
Do we have Wi-Fi access? Because I'm not I'm not a student there
Yo,
anymore.
I sincerely hope we do. Because I don't know if you remember the first
Yeah, I
class
know.
we didn't,
Yeah,
and I
I
was just
know.
like, yo, what are we doing? So we'll figure that piece out.
No problem.
Yeah. So I think Lewis, once you get your login and all that stuff, after the HR paperwork's done, I think that's going to be the thing that you can kind of log into LaGuardia with. But we'll kind of make sure. Well, I need to also make sure it's going to work for me as well. But yeah, that's how we get our login there.
Louis,
I don't even
my Wi-Fi still works. I'm not a student anymore, so I don't know if that
my
helps.
Yo, I'm
my
like,
my Wi-Fi doesn't work because first my whole system was messed up. Okay, I went to John Jay and I can't access anything still to this day. I'm graduating, I still can't access anything. So
that's
I
tough.
just gave up on all of that. I just said I'm graduating. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Honestly, you're just working out of Starbucks the whole time. Yeah, if it doesn't
Pretty
work,
much.
we just all meet in Starbucks. But yeah, long story short, we're hoping that wouldn't be the case. Okay,
And
cool.
just
So if there's
before we
no other
leave, if
questions,
anyone needs any help with anything, feel free to reach me on Slack. Okay, don't be embarrassed.
Yeah, feel
yeah,
free. If you have any questions, reach out to me on Slack. I will respond. It might take some time depending on when you message me, but I will respond.
Same.
nice. Thank you all, and I'll see you all on Thursday. Okay,
All right.
take it easy, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Have a
Bye.
good night.